The German Parliament has met for the last time before the general election of February the 23rd. It was a rather tense session with the Chancellor Olaf Scholz accusing his main challenger, Friedrich Merz, of constant about turns. Now, one of the big issues at this election is immigration, and today Scholz defended his record on immigration and security. Take a listen.
If we now claim that security and order in Germany have gotten out of control despite the falling number of asylum seekers, and that we therefore do not need to apply European law, then other countries will use this bogus argument in exactly the same way, quite apart from the fact that it will not stand up in court. Then, in the future, each country will decide for itself whether it wants to apply European law or not.
Well, immigration is the campaigning issue for the far-right party, the Alternative for Germany, in this election. Its leader, Alex Weidel, has been speaking to the press today.
The majority of people want sensible policies. They want immigration to be limited. They want secure borders. They want reasonable taxes. And above all, they want energy prices to come down. These are the main points that the population wants. But in the current situation, Friedrich Merz cannot achieve this with the Green-Red coalition. And fatally, he won't tell his voters that. He will only be able to do so with the Alternative for Germany. And my hand is outstretched.
Meine Hand ist ausgestreckt.
Well, to talk a bit about the German election, I'm pleased now to welcome to the programme Jacob Ross. He's a research fellow at the German Council on Foreign Relations. Look, good to talk to you today. Can you just explain to us, first of all, what the immigration platform of the AfD and Alice Weidel is at this election?
Well, in this particular election, good afternoon, the AfD is making or scoring with this topic since we have had a couple of attacks, especially knife attacks in Germany. The last attack cost the life of a 2-year-old and a 40-year-old man who was trying to help this child. And many people increasingly make the connection between illegal migration, uncontrolled migration, and a deteriorating interior security situation in Germany. The AfD has successfully scored on this connection between those two topics. And now the different parties in parliament, and that became very clear today again in the last debate before this election, are trying to cope with that and trying to come up with strategies to increase security in Germany, reduce illegal migration and asylum seeker numbers, while at the same time trying to avoid to leave this topic to the AfD solely.
And in that debate in the Bundestag that you just mentioned, Friedrich Merz from the centre-right, now he is the favourite to become the Chancellor of Germany, has said that he won't be going into a coalition agreement with the AfD. But the two parties have actually been working together recently, haven't they, to pass a motion on this very issue of immigration. How significant is it that they are cooperating at all, in your view?
Well, I mean, the debate whether or not this was indeed cooperation is ongoing in Germany. Some say that this was indeed the breaking of the so-called firewall against the extreme right, the AfD, in the German parliament. Others, including Friedrich Merz, the head of the Conservative Party, CDU, and his allies, say that this was not cooperation, but solely AfD votes that allowed for the passing of this motion in parliament, but that there was no technical cooperation on any text of law, for instance. But Friedrich Merz has been very much in the has been criticized very strongly these past days, and not only by the political left, but by people from his own party, by liberals. There have been big demonstrations in the streets in Germany. Just in Munich this weekend, you had 200,000 people approximately on the streets protesting against what they see, again, as the Conservative Party opening up to cooperation with the extreme right. And so ultimately, everybody's looking at the polling, trying to know whether or not the German electorate is supporting Merz's decision or not. And we will only know on February 23rd, when the election actually takes place, whether his strategy will pay out or not.
And look, according to the polling that we have for the moment, the AfD is in second place going into the election on the 23rd. The CDU, the party of Merz, is well ahead, so we do expect them to try to form a government. Do you think that is there any chance that the AfD will be part of a governing force at all, or will they remain locked out of high power in Germany?
No, they will remain locked out of the government, at least for the time being. I mean, many people fear that things won't get better, then in the next election, the AfD might actually get a grasp on power. But for this election, we are now talking about on the 23rd of February, Friedrich Merz and other leading figures in the Conservative Party have ruled out any sort of coalition government with the AfD. The problem being that the AfD is now becoming so strong in the German parliament that it is increasingly difficult to form coalitions excluding them, and that the next government could again be a 3- or 4-party coalition government, leaving the AfD or Alternative für Deutschland as the only alternative politically, the only opposition party, which again makes many people very fearful for the perspective for the next upcoming 4 years of German politics, with this extreme right party being the only real opposition party in German government in Berlin.
Well, let's talk just briefly about the candidate for the chancellery of the AfD. This is Alice Weidel. She is an interesting candidate, I think, because she doesn't seem like somebody who's easy to pigeonhole at all. She describes herself as a liberal conservative rather than far right. She has, though, talked about large-scale repatriation of foreigners, even though she actually is herself in a same-sex relationship with a woman from Sri Lanka. So look, for a foreign audience, I mean, how would you describe her politics?
Well, I mean, she's perfectly reflecting, I think, the differences that exists within the AfD, which is a party that originated in protest against the Euro crisis policies of Angela Merkel back in 2013, conservative economists who were opposing saving Greece in the Euro area, and which has developed throughout these past years into a much more diverse party, very concentrated on migration, on interior security and asylum seeking in Germany. And I think that Alice Weidel indeed is more a part of this more conservative, albeit liberal wing of the party. But let's not forget that there are other very important figures within AfD, including Björn Höcke, who is himself on a much more rigid part of the party, more right-wing, who's at times referring to what critics see as Nazi elements of speech, neo-Nazi elements of speech. But Alice Weidel is certainly, as you said, very difficult to case in this debate, since she is definitely not your typical right-winger as many people would imagine it.
It's been really good to talk to you. Thank you so much. Jacob Ross talking to us there. He's from the German Council on Foreign Relations.